Dr. E.N.G. Marek Gruszecki. Philosophy of Being. Krakow, 2025. My 85th anniversary. Philosophical essay Does God Exist? Krakow, the 19th of April 2025.
Resurrection of the Body, Part 1. Man is undoubtedly the most paradoxical entity among all creatures. He is the only one who combines two seemingly mutually exclusive aspects, the material and the intellectual spiritual. The death of man distinguishes us from all other animate beings. At the death of another being, the underlying matter ceases to function in a plant or animal way. The human situation is different because of the unique nature of our nature. What actually happens to us at the moment of death? We cease to be fully human persons. However, we are not subject to complete annihilation. The human soul continues to exist and is capable of intellectual cognition. The state of the human soul after human death becomes another paradox. On the one hand, the intrinsic human soul does not lose its cognitive capacity. Its cognition is similar to the cognition inherent in angels. On the other hand, the state in which the human soul does not organize matter in the organic human body is extremely unnatural for it. God's own desires our resurrection. The resurrection thesis is confirmed in Revelation and in the teaching tradition of the Church. The question of the detailed characteristics and dispositions of the human person after the resurrection remains a separate issue. Certainly, a point of reference for us is the gospel descriptions of the risen Jesus, who on the one hand appears suddenly despite the closed door and on the other hand asks for something to eat, indicating that he realistically has a material aspect. According to the Bible, we are created to fill a unique rung in the cosmic ladder between animals and angels. We would lose it by becoming angels, just as we would by becoming apes. We will not be angels, but we will be like angels in the sense that we will not depend on the world, but we will be able to touch it at will. We will be able to do it, but not in an angelic way. Angels put on and take off their bodies like we do our clothes, and we will use our bodies at will, such as eating when we feel like it. The soul demands in full voice the resurrection of the senses. The resurrection at the end of time will include the whole man. He will then possess a real body, and this body will share in his final destiny, reward or punishment, for good or bad conduct on oath. This belief was expressed in texts in the Old Testament. Jesus brought an elaboration of this teaching. Our share is to be eternal life, different from earthly life, although possessing it we shall be the same people, with soul and body, who lived on oath. Man is a unity. He is not a composite of two separate realities, body and soul. As one and the same entity, the human person has a material aspect and an intellectual spiritual aspect. Resurrection of the body. Part 2. Who are we after death? On the one hand, certain essential aspects of who we are radically altered. We cease to be fully human persons as we lose the actualization of vegetative and sensory powers. Deprived of the material aspect, we do not move in time and space, we do not nourish ourselves, and we do not receive sensory impressions. Consequently, our passive intellect is devoid of cognitive material. On the other hand, we are not subject to total annihilation. Thanks to our possession of an active intellect, self-awareness, and free will, the human soul, which does not organize matter in an organic human body, still exists and is capable of intellectual cognition. It is a bizarre state in which, because of certain capacities inherent in human nature, we are simultaneously not and still ourselves. We are the same individual, the same entity that is not, however, fully a human person, but a self-contained soul. Many people wonder what communication in heaven might look like. A possible answer is that each of us will speak the native language of the heart, but we will be able to understand each other. But is there a language that angels speak in heaven? After all, we know, for example, that they sing praises to God. And if so, in what language do they do so? We find an allusion to the language of angels in a Celtic work from the 10th century. The author puts the following words into the mouth of the Apostle Philip, speaking to the great assembly of nations on Zion. I speak to you in the language of angels and of all the hosts of heaven, even the creatures of the sea, the cattle, the four-legged animals, the birds, the snakes, and the demons know it. It is in this language that all will speak at the judgment. This language is said to be not only the own speech of the inhabitants of heaven, but also the universal language of all people at the final judgment. The tongues of the angels are an extra-linguistic way of inner prayer. that is, contemplation without words, a kind of spiritual speech used by the angels to praise the God of all things. Spiritual beings, after all, cannot actually use speech conveyed through sounds, because they do not have organs articulating sound. Angels speak to each other through the very act of will, opening their minds and revealing any ideas or thoughts they wish to share. Angels, who are spirits, use intelligible words only for the sake of humans, for their tongues are resounding glory. They communicate for the glory of God, and their speech is something sublime, beautiful, and beyond the cognitive capacity of man.
Conclusion. But Jesus, overhearing what was being said, said to the ruler of the synagogue, "Do not be afraid, only believe." Bible, Mark 5 verse 36. It will still be beautiful, despite everything. Just put on comfortable shoes, because you have your whole life to go through. John Paul II. Mathematics in Nature.